Hello everyone, Chris here with Platinum Reviews. Today we have the newest review for CryMachina on PlayStation 5. Before we jump into that review though, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Platinum Reviews goodness. Alright, let's go ahead and jump right in. The story in CryMachina might be one that can be confusing at times, but overall, it is a fantastic story. It starts off with a girl on her deathbed pleading that she is not ready to die. Ultimately, the screen goes black, and she is reborn thousands of years in the future as a type of android human being. She is made as an Eve. An Eve is a android, like I said, that is trying to regain their humanity to become a real human. It's kind of like Pinocchio in a sense, but they're not real boys, real humans. Alone, afraid, and scared, in this new world, she meets two other Eves and a Deus Ex Machina that creates her. Is it Deus Ex or Deus Ex? I don't know. She meets a Machina that creates her. They are building these creations of Eves in hopes that they will gain enough humanity to become real humans and bring back humanity. Now, you might be saying, bring back humanity? What are you talking about? Well, you find out early on that there was a disease that actually killed the main character. So when she's lying on her deathbed at the very, very beginning, it's because she's dying from a disease. This disease ended up wiping out almost all of civilization, and only a few years after her death, the entire world was destroyed. Mankind, being mankind, decided to go to war in hopes of maintaining the remaining resources in the world, ultimately killing off everybody. The Machina is created in hopes to bring back humanity. And I think this worked really well. There was some moments in the story that just kind of didn't hit. Towards the end, there was more questions that needed to get answered in my mind than questions that got answered. So there were some low points in the story, but overall, the story was fantastic. There were twists, and I'm normally really, really good at sensing twists and turns in games and movies. There were some twists that came out of nowhere that were so good. I really, really enjoyed this story, and this is definitely one I would easily suggest just for the story alone. Now, this next part is normally where I would talk about the gameplay, but oh, that has to take a back seat really quick to the graphics. This game is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, and the animation in the cinematics alone just look like you're watching an anime. It is so well done. Just it really reminds me of like Near Automata with the just gorgeous, gorgeous anime graphics. It looks beautiful. Even when you're playing in the gameplay portions, there are some points that just, kind of look dull, like the backgrounds are dull, stuff like that. But overall, the characters' designs, the animations, just really, really well done. I think the game is just beautiful. Now, we've talked about a lot of high points, so let's hit a low point really quick. The gameplay. Now, I do think the gameplay's good. It's definitely fun. I suggest playing it because of the gameplay, but I think the gameplay could have been executed better. In CryMachina, you spend most of your time in this like hub. It's called the Imitation Garden, and this is where you are leveling up your characters, equipping new items, finding personality data that can use to make your character stronger, stuff like that. You're pretty much doing everything in this hub. There's also tea parties. The tea parties give you ego, which you can use to level up your Deus Ex Machina. There's just a lot of stuff you do in this Imitation Garden, including picking the next level. Now, when you pick this level, it is really short. Even when the levels are supposed to be long, you're not going to really spend more than 10 minutes in one level. And you only spend 10 minutes in a level if you're struggling or you put down the controller for a minute. Other than that, a lot of these levels I was completing in under 5 minutes. It was to the point where I was actually spending more time in the Imitation Garden than I was in the actual level. Not to mention, a lot of the levels have a very similar feel to them. There is also, the levels make it to where you maybe fight 9 enemies in total, and that's being very generous. I'll say most of the time, 5 enemies or less for an entire level. You maybe kill 3 or 4 of the cherubim, however you pronounce them, and then the final boss. Once you beat the final boss, you unlock the checkpoint, you go back to the imitation garden, and you rinse and repeat. It feels like the execution could have been done a lot better. And I think overall, that was one of my biggest gripe with the games. I would have rather had it to where it was more of an open world style, to where, or it could have even been linear, but where you're just continuing to go. And when you want to, you can go back to the imitation garden, or you have checkpoints where you can decide, like, those checkpoints that you unlock, you can decide to go back to the imitation garden, or you can just keep going. I feel like that would have been a better layout than to make it to where for a 20-hour game, I'm spending 15 hours at the imitation garden and 5 hours of actual gameplay. I think that was a really big miss on my side, in my opinion. Now, some other aspects of the gameplay that I think were a little bit weak is it's a hack and slash type game. Think Devil May Cry without any combos. It's literally tapping the square button over and over and over, tapping triangle to do a launch attack, L1 and R1. Those are the only buttons you're tapping. Sometimes you'll dodge. You can shoot with the R2 button, but you don't really use that too terribly much. It's very simplistic, and early on it's great, but I think as you get further in the game, it just makes it to where it's like, okay, I'm just tapping it square every single fight. So I feel like it would have been more beneficial to have like a combo, some sort of combo meter or some sort of combo moves would have just been really, really good. Unfortunately, you're just tapping square the entire game. The game's pretty easy for the most part, too. I think most of the game I didn't really struggle at all. It wasn't until I got too close to the final boss that I hit a wall, and it was like all my characters were 20 levels under leveled, and it just was really annoying. So I had to replay a level multiple times in order to get them strong enough to where I could beat the enemies. So I think there are some difficulty spikes like that, especially endgame. Endgame, once you beat it and you can go back and play for the platinum, which doesn't seem terribly hard, but once you go back for the platinum, there is going to be a lot of grinding, a lot of replaying the same level as far as I'm aware. There hasn't been any guide yet because I'm playing this before the game actually releases. So there might be some easier ways to do it. I'm just doing it the stupid way. But from what I can see, the game is kind of grindy towards endgame. Lastly, the music. Now, the music in this game is absolutely phenomenal. There is a type of opening theme song that plays after like Act 1, so I guess it's not really opening song, but it is just, it's a banger. There's just overall all the music that I heard in this game I really enjoyed. There's a music player that you can listen to while in the imitation garden. My only problem with that is you have to be in the menu to listen to the music. If you back out of the music player and go to like do other stuff in the imitation garden, it stops the song that you're listening to. So I would prefer if you could just listen to it all the time, but you know, unfortunately you can't. But overall, I think the music is just, it really, really works with this game. And last but not least, glitches and bugs. I didn't really run into too many problems with the game. It ran really, really well. There were no bad bugs. I think the biggest one that I had was the camera angle would sometimes change during a fight, with like you getting stuck behind walls and stuff like that. Just, you know, normal camera angle issues with hack and slash type games. Another issue is sometimes enemies would like jump in the air and like land on top of me. I don't know why. And then 1 or 2 times I had it to where my character would die and kind of like glitch into an object. And then when that happened, it felt like the game would take about a minute or so before it would let me retry. So it would kind of just stay there with my body just laying there dead getting attacked. But other than that, the game ran really well. I didn't have too many complaints with the game. I enjoyed my time with CryMachina. It was a fun time. The story was just superb. Yeah, there were some questions that were left unanswered, but overall, I think the twists and turns and the characters and just how well these characters mold together, the voice acting, just everything about the story I really, really enjoyed. I think the gameplay did have some misses on it. Like I said, it just felt like I spent more time preparing for missions than I did actually doing the missions. And the gameplay was a little bit repetitive, with just tapping the square button to attack. I feel like combos would have just done the game a lot better than what they did for the current system. But overall, I definitely suggest trying out CryMachina. It is a beautifully stunning game, which is a fantastic story. Definitely worth a try. I would give CryMachina a 7.5 out of 10. As far as the platinum is concerned, I haven't got it yet. I might go back and get the platinum. I'm only missing like 3 or 4 trophies. It seems like it's just play through the game, and then there's a few cleanup trophies after the end. There's some late game bosses and stuff that you can do. So it doesn't seem like a bad platinum. I'd probably say the platinum would take you about 20 to 30 hours to obtain, depending on how many times you die during the game or how many bosses you have to replay. Other than that, I think the game is fantastic, and I would definitely check it out. If you have any questions about CryMachina, let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. What are you waiting for? This is Chris with Platinum Reviews. As always, keep getting those trophies, and I'll catch you on the next video.
ケルビムだ。ねえねえ、もらって。やべえ。